We have a segment that's sponsored by our favorite chiropractor, health professional, Dr. Dan Fazio, Aqua Health and Wellness. And every month he shares some tips on how we can improve our health and does it in some of the most fun and exciting ways I've ever seen. So, Dan, here it is.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate it so much. Well, I'm so glad to be here with you today. We try to keep the topics timely, so what I'm going to discuss with you today is actually vector-borne illnesses. Sound timely? I'll tell you why it is. Okay, what is that, right? Vector-borne illnesses are illnesses that are spread by parasitic entities. The example that I'm going to use today, because it's very relevant here, are ticks. So raise your hand if you're an outdoors person. I knew John Ayers was going to raise it. Good. So we have such gorgeous, gorgeous habitat here in Missouri and the Midwest. Getting out and exploring this, getting exercise in the outdoors, one of the most important things we can do for our health and wellness. So I want to encourage this. But protecting against parasitic entities that are carried within ticks and the ticks themselves, which are parasites, crucially important. So this is not a fun topic. This isn't fun like kale smoothies fun. This isn't fun like functional exercise and core stability fun, right? But this is potentially life-saving. Thank you. This is what I needed. And it's green. This is perfect. All right. Okay. So when we're talking about tick-borne illnesses, and vector-borne illnesses would also include like mosquitoes. Okay, that's another vector of influence on the body. But we're talking about ticks here today. We've got 3 different types in Missouri that we really need to worry about. We don't need to list all those out here. That they're Lone Star, deer tick, and dog tick, actually, are the common names. But what you need to understand are there are important ways to protect yourself against these. Now, you have come to know me as Mr. Holistic, minimize chemicals in the body. This is where I take exception with that, okay? And let me tell you why. Because you got to blast these guys. So you might have heard of a compound called DEET. It's nasty. It's a neurotoxin for us when we come directly in contact with it. And it's a neurotoxin for the ticks. There's something called dose dependency, which means a little bit will kill them but won't kill us. So we want to stay in that range. So let me teach you how to do that. That's pretty important, right? Health and wellness. So here's the trick. The most important thing when you're applying an insect repellent that has DEET is to look for the concentration. If you're going deep into the woods, we're going to want DEET that has at least a 30% concentration. Okay? They have it at half of that also, and that might be more applicable for backyard barbecues where kids might need to be sprayed with this too. That sounds horrible. Spray your kids with DEET. So let me teach you how to help with this. Okay, it's important to remember first that ticks actually do have a preference when it comes to clothes. Light-colored clothes, they can tend to identify and they'll grab onto somebody wearing lighter colors. So if you've got a snazzy plaid suit you can wear through the woods. Thanks, Mark. No. Something darker will generally keep them away, okay, or minimize the likelihood of them glomming onto you. Now, what I just said, glomming onto you, they're actually hanging out. This gets pretty crazy. These suck your blood and they're lying in wait for you for months. But don't be scared of them. They're sitting on the edge of the trail you're walking through, and they're on their back legs. When they see a mammal coming through, because they're interested in warm-blooded creatures, usually dicks. No, God. So sorry. I was thinking of my friend Richard. Usually deer ticks. Scratch the video. Usually, wait a second.
So women are safe.
Yeah. Usually deer ticks, we're going to remember this one. Usually deer ticks are first going to latch on to deer and or other mammals, with the exception of possums, which they don't like. Okay, but they're going to glom on there and they're actually going to reproduce on the animal, okay? They're going to then be shed off, and this is a larva stage. This is getting crazy. Okay, they're gonna grow into mature ticks that can spread disease. Here's what you need to know. Wear dark clothing. Wear clothing that is tight around the ankles and or wrists if you can, waistband, and spray the outside of your clothing with high concentration DEET. Okay? Men and women need to do this. So high concentration DEET. You don't want this directly on your skin if you can avoid it. Now, proponents of essential oil-based insect repellents will tell you that that's a great way to block against these parasites, and it is true. So take those essential oil-based and natural-based insect repellents and apply that directly to your skin. You can rub that into your skin and get that all over you, and then clothe up. Thank you, Mark. And when you're clothed up, take this DEET concentration as high as you can take it. Cover yourself in that. It's ideal to have, especially if you got some good ears like this, it's ideal to have a big brim hat that you can also spray the top of with that DEET concentration. Here's the actual most important thing, though. All that is preparation. When you get back home after your hike, this is where it gets really important. You want to shed clothes immediately, wash them, and then dry them at the highest heat. Ticks can actually survive through the wash cycle. They're that hardy, but you can roast them with the heat, so they'll die there. And you take a shower and wash them off. If you identify a tick that's crawling on your body, there's no way it has introduced any parasitic entity into your body yet. After they immediately adhere to you, you have a window of opportunity to get them off of your body before you're likely to contract any major disease like Lyme disease, okay, or Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or alpha-gal is another one. So alpha-gal isn't as good as it sounds. At any rate, early identification, pluck these off using a tweezers close to the site of implantation. You don't want to pull it off by hand. You also don't want to try to burn it off. Those are bad ideas. Isopropyl rubbing alcohol immediately around the site. Use tweezers if you can and pluck that out such that you get the head of the tick out, because it's actually kind of cemented or epoxied itself in there with a chemical compound. So proper DEETing of the outside of your clothes, and then do use an essential oil-based bug-off spray. There's about a dozen different good ones out there. You can put that directly on your skin. Most important thing, though, when you get home, shower off immediately and check yourself. Buddy system if you can. Check your buddy and make sure you're clean and ready to go. All right, thanks everyone. Health and wellness.